Welcome everybody, thank you so much for joining. My name is Pratesh with Kaizen Crypto. I'm joined here today with Faha, who is a co-founder of Equine, also a community member of the Faha 100 and an NFT collector. He's huge in the community. Faha, thanks so much for joining us today, man. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing well, thanks.
It's a pleasure, it's
How
a
are
pleasure. Doing well, you know, it's exciting to be here at CNFTCon. Just seeing everybody in person, you know, getting a chance to meet people who we talk to on a regular basis, it's really exciting. How's your experience been so far?
100%. I agree with what you said. It's been, to me, it's emotional, both emotional and nostalgic. Cardano NFTs have basically been my day and night. I'm living through everything that's happening in this space. I've recently been much busier with Equine, which we have here in the background. As you build a project, you don't have as much time for collecting, but since SpaceBuds minted, I've basically been hooked on Cardano NFTs. I've been in the community since then, trading back since the Discord days, as you have been around since that period. And through that period, we've made a massive amount of friends, loads of genuine persons who have been really excited about this and passionate. So to see them all here in this one place is both to me emotional and nostalgic, because it brings back, it triggers so many memories. In this case, everyone knows how fast or slow time goes, as in the 1.5 years that have passed almost feel like 10 years. So it feels like I've gone to meet friends that I haven't met since 10 years ago, even though we've never actually met in person. It's like probably met hundreds of people who I know the handles of, but never met in person. So I think it's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's incredible what you said. It's like, just to think about how far we've come. It's such a short period of time, but then it feels like forever. You know, it really does. And just to see how far the space has come as well. You said the original SpaceBuds mint is what got you hooked, and you know, ever since then you've just been collecting. What are some of the projects? I know you've got your own project as well, Equine. You know, as far as some of the things that you've been keeping up with, could you tell us a little bit about some of the favorite projects that you hold?
Well, this is I would say a bit of a loaded question, because it implies
it's a lot of projects.
Not financial advice, do your own research, but it's a lot of projects that I hold. More than 600 projects that I probably have NFTs from, if not more.
Wow.
Some I've really went heavy into with. There's projects I have like 1,000 NFTs of, or 500 of, 300 of, etc. I would talk maybe about, if I have to, the most recent exciting thing I've done was the Cardano Warriors Island Mint.
Yes.
I have 300 Warriors, which I think is like second or third largest holding.
Wow.
Which gives me like 625 Warrior points.
Okay.
This allowed me to mint 2 super large, 1 extra large, and 3 mediums. If I spent it all and went for the maximum size, which is what I did.
Okay.
But to me, and you guys are free to kind of look it up and see what they're doing, but as a project builder, I kind of know how much work it takes to get somewhere. The fact that they have such a clean, well-oiled, very convenient, and very, let's say, intuitive dApp that works for a game, and the fact that they tied it in with NFTs, with minting, with viewing your collection, with an island builder that you can actually go and build an island that is maintained in a certain state, that's linked to your NFT, that you can transfer the NFT and retain the island details. Having that, even though it's not the game yet, and obviously this is, I own 300 of them, so maybe it's my bags talking, but it's just also out of conviction that this is really great. So I'm excited about that. I was able to play around with it. The full concept is not yet out there, but they've also released right after that some previews of mini games that are going to come out. So there's the islands that are like typical pitches or lands on a metaverse kind of style, but then they put into that, for example, a mini game where you look at the map and there's the raccoon that goes into a certain island, so everyone chases him into that island, and then the island owner gets some stuff by people playing. It's just exciting to think about the opportunity. But that's one thing I'm following. I'm following mostly the projects that I have a big holding in, just because I have that, so I'm kind of feel attached there. So obviously that would mean, let me try to remember immediately what I have a lot of, or all the time looking at. That would be basically the servers that are on. It's one question you could ask is, what Discord servers do you keep on top?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, Discord servers, like the communities that you keep up with.
That you keep up with. And that would be, I would say, for me, Space Buds, Clay Nation, Cardano. Actually, let me cheat.
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
I'm gonna cheat just to make sure I don't forget. Ionium Sky is one of them because I bought a bunch of blocks and I just want to see what else they're doing. Okay, so we have obviously our equine projects, Faha 100, Space Buds, Beyond Rockets, Clay Nation, Ionium Sky, Cardano Warriors. The Cardano Apes we've recently rebranded into Jungle Beasts, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
after they combined with the Lion Legends. These are the ones, and Pixel Page / Nano Frame, just because I'm interested in their utility. These are, and then there's Dead Rabbit Society, Onboard Furbles. We asked for some name dropping, this is name dropping, but then if we go further, there's loads more that I'm not keeping track of, but I see announcements of on Twitter. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of different communities that are here today as well. Just building and showing off their different projects. I also wanted to ask you about the project you're building. With Equine, I think that there's also a large community around that as well. How's the progress been going with your platform and Equine?
so progress has been great. We're super happy with how far we've gotten on. Our mint was obviously in December of last year. So it's been about 10 months since we minted. We're held up for a few months in the beginning due to some administrative things we needed to sort out before we kind of start working. But then we kind of went off on a good start. Equine is kind of, let's say, I won't say unique, but different from many projects in a way where to the amount of scale that's required for Equine. Obviously, metaverse projects are maybe even larger in scale and what's needed to be done. Equine is relatively simple in terms of the general definition or scope. It's a racehorse management game where you race and breed horses, right? So it seems a little bit simple in that sense, and it is. But if you go to what's required to be built to do it, we are not using any pre-built engine or game that we kind of skin and just use. Like many games get the advantage of being able to do that. You use a RPG Maker template, or you use a first-person shooter template, or a third-person template, and then you just skin it, and you have a game. That saves a lot of time. In our case, we're really building the platform from scratch. So that means we have a lot of groundwork that we needed to do. We structured our release in a way where it's really sizable chunks that we can digest and work on. So we did the Stables release, which we just released a public beta of. It went off on a bit of a rocky start because of deployment. So we had the dev version was perfectly working. The release onto basically a production server was not as perfect as we'd hoped. And us being here in Vegas doesn't help because we're basically stuck here and can't really fix things.
Hands off for a while.
So that's really been a challenge there.
Yep.
But the good thing is that we have something that's live that we can now polish and then iterate. Basically, fix, test, add features, test, fix, test, add features, test.
Yeah.
So you have that rinse and repeat. That's how we get the full platform, right? So the Stables release was basically an inventory management. You connect your wallet, you look at your stuff within our dApp. So then we have our own custom experience of sorting, 3D viewer that has the stables and the stalls with the horses in them.
That's cool.
You get to see our jockeys. So we have that already built, and we have that also working, more or less. Aside from the issues we have with connecting wallets right now. But that's just the first part of the whole thing. Next up, we're gonna have the social release. Social release is gonna be basically our guilds, which is meant to be more of a community aspect where if you, for example, as a community or your community members want to kind of form a collective of stables. So everyone, if you have a horse or two, then you're going to be a stable. You can name that stable later on, and then you can give that a name. Then you can also form a guild. And the guild owner will be able to invite people to their guild, and then they can do things like, for example, offer discounts internally within the guild for horses, or for stud service if you have breeding going on.
Oh, I see.
You can do things like track your fellow guild members and see how they've been doing in races. Then you have a collective guild performance metric. So there's a guild leaderboard in addition to a stable leaderboard.
Okay.
So that adds kind of to the level of that. And
Nice.
so that's the next release. It's gonna be the social stuff,
Okay.
chat, adding friends, guilds and all that. Chat was kind of a question of, do we need to add chat when there's other platforms that do chat? But then it makes sense because any good online game has chat.
It's within the community, it's within the game. You know, if you're on the platform and you have somebody within your community who you're talking to, you don't have to go to a separate platform. Right?
People will still go there. We're still gonna keep Discord for the Discord community. It's a different level. Like in our chat, we're not gonna have like videos and GIFs and stuff like that. It's gonna be a much more simple one. But it's just meant to be an in-game chat function. Okay. So that's the social release that's gonna be after this. The next release after that is gonna be the main big one. That's racing and breathing. It's gonna be the big one after that. And the last one in this current, let's say, map. I'm refraining from using a roadmap or that, but in the current, let's say, schedule of works, the next one after is going to be the marketplace. We wanted to do a bespoke marketplace that kind of caters to our experience. Horses, skins, and jockeys are a whole system. So being able to customize the experience to the user is an advantage. People will still be able to use the decentralized marketplace in any way they want.
Right.
It's just an option to kind of better customize the experience so we can tailor it to filters that work for our project. Give that option. One day have auction, for example, options. If you're a breeder and you have foals, you might want to auction them off within the platform so you can keep an eye on that. There's a lot of other functionality. So this is the map or the progression that we see going forward. We're still at the first release, tables, even in beta version, early beta.
Okay.
So it's going on, but I'm really excited because we've already achieved a huge milestone for me, is to have an actual deployed dApp that works.
Yes.
And now it's just a matter of building on top of it.
Absolutely. Well, that's exciting. You know, I think that it's great to see the progress that you all have made with your project. And as far as you said you have the dApp that's working currently, so now we had the Plutus V1 and Plutus V2. Now with your dApp currently, and if you could give us a little bit of details about that, like are you having to redo everything because of the version 2, or have you deployed as version 2?
No, we've deployed actually, I mean we have Fence Maker behind us with our CTO, who would be best equipped to talk about this specific, let's say, dev-related details. But I do know enough to answer this. I believe there is no direct, let's say, Plutus version implications just because we just released, number one. Number two is the stables release is actually more limited in terms of there is no smart contracts here. It's simply a wallet connector and reading the wallet's content. So we haven't yet dug ourselves into, let's say, a tunnel of a certain version.
Sure.
So we have the liberty to kind of directly build on V2. There's
nice.
really no implication there, so that's good.
Very good.
Might be worth mentioning that our smart contract development is actually, we're working with MLabs,
Oh, very nice.
who are, I believe, very well known. They work with IOHK directly on Vassal, as far as I know. So we're working with them on all the blockchain development. They are our partners in that side. So I believe we're in good hands in terms of design and execution. So that's being taken care of, I think.
Okay, fantastic. Well, yeah, I mean, Faha, it's been great to actually get a chance to meet you in person. This is actually the first time that I'm getting a chance to see you. You know, what you do for the NFT community is huge. So I did want to say thank you so much for all that you do for the space. You know, as I feel like as far as being able to propel the space forward and being able to provide value, what you do and building your community with the Faha 100 as well. Really, really exciting to see what you're doing. I'm looking forward to Equine as well. Hopefully I can use the platform very soon in the future. I know you've already got some things that are already working, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, as far as our conversation for today, to close up, I would just like to say, as far as what we talked about, is there any place that our audience can go to learn more? I know that if you're not following Faha on social, make sure you follow him on Twitter for that. But as far as that, anything else, would you say where should they go and keep up to date with what you're building?
I would say for Equine, the best resources would be we've also, along with the stables release, we launched our new website. So the website version 2 has a guide section that has a lot of high-level FAQs. Those would be helpful for like an entry-level kind of dipping your toes into what's happening.
Gotcha.
Next level of depth would be basically our white paper. It's a much longer read because it elaborates a lot of details. It's also a little bit outdated because we've been busy building, we haven't really reflected it, but nothing in the white paper is wrong until today. The only difference would be more details that we've added on top of it. Basically everything there remains to be valid. The third place would be our Twitter account, which shares more recent updates. The fourth, but still very important resource, is our Discord channel. We have a very, very vibrant community. They're always ready to help. Anybody who's coming, we've already sold our mints back in December of last year. So any chance to buy new horses would be one of two. Either you buy Pioneer horses from the market.
Okay.
If you want to know those, it might be daunting at first to read all the stats.
Yeah.
So I would suggest coming into the Discord, maybe asking a few questions. There's a lot of community members who are very, very well versed, and they'll be happy to hold hands and help people figure out what's going on.
Okay.
And the other option, if you want, is to basically just wait for the platform to be live, and then people, the Pioneer holders, are going to be breeding horses. So somebody's going to want to buy those horses.
Yes.
And they might be more attractive if they're, for example, priced better, or they might be attractive in a way that they're bred in a way that you can expect what to get. So those options will definitely be there. We chose not to mint more horses unless there's a severe deficiency in meeting demand. Let's say a hypothetical situation where we have, this is obviously just an example, but let's say we have 500,000 users looking to buy horses. There's only like 5,000 breeders. In that situation, we might jump in just for the help of the ecosystem and mint some horses. They won't be Pioneer horses, so they'll be the same as the bred horses. But more or less, especially that this situation is unlikely, then we'd like to leave this to the breeders to kind of meet the demand. We feel that this is an organic way to kind of keep the ecosystem moving and also to keep the new lines of horses coming in. I know we're supposed to be closing, but it's just
you're
worth
fine.
mentioning.
Sure, yeah.
Pioneer horses are meant to also have a certain perk, which is meant to be balanced in a way where it does not defer or deter new players from coming in, because they don't have a game breaking or balance breaking mechanism.
Right.
But the mechanism they do get, or the perk that they do get, is that our horses pass away, they have a lifespan and they die, but the Pioneer horses, after they die, you get a token back, which allows you to re-roll and mint a new random horse.
Okay. Interesting.
For a nominal fee, something around 28 is what we've always said.
Okay.
And then you get a random new horse re-rolled, but what we believe this gives is it just gives you a perpetual access to, as long as the platform exists, it's not even a one-time thing, it's meant to be anytime the horse passes away, you get a token to re-roll a new Pioneer horse. So it's almost like you always get new horses, so it might be also a very low priced, low stat horse. After it passes away, you might get a star, right? It's a chance, but if it's a star, you might also end up getting a lower stat horse. But we want to kind of keep this base line of Pioneer horses kind of always being around, and then any new bred horses will not have this perk. When they pass away, the utility is gone.
I see. Okay. Very interesting. That's a great point to note. But yeah, I think that it's exciting to see all the cool stuff that you guys are thinking about. The socials, I will be sure to leave the links for our audience. So if you're interested in following what Faha is building with Equine and the community that he's built, definitely be sure to check out those links down in the description. All right, Faha. Well, it was a pleasure. As always, thank you so much for taking the time.
I appreciate it.
Very nice to meet you in person.
Thank you so much.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.